Uh, Good evening, sir. First of all, thank you so much for coming for this short interview. I'll just,
Thank you. Thank you for calling me.
tell the viewers about you. So you're Mr. Shashwat Rai, Senior Associate at Keystone Partners, and you practice at Bombay High Court, and you have been practicing since 2017. And now,
Yeah.
sir, I'll just tell you about this interview. The questions in this interview will be more related to professional ethics. So, not taking much time of yours, I'll just directly come to the questions. So,
Yeah, sure.
my first question to you is, law students are taught about professional ethics in the law schools. What role does it play in the real world? So,
Uh, it does play a huge role. Uh, apart from the fact that people do tend to argue about the applicability of the academic knowledge that comes through these lectures and these subjects. See, ultimately, our profession, lawyer's profession, is very similar to what doctors or what any other professionals would have, because in some of the cases, your client's life and death depends on you in that sense. So you have to do your job to the best of your ability, but you have to keep in mind that you're doing it correctly, because while you're appearing for your client, you're actually an officer of the court first. So you always have to keep that in mind. You'll have to be fair to the judge. You have to be fair to the other side. You This ethics is extremely important. It's as important as, say, in a profession of doctor, because as I said, that it is a matter of, sometimes it's a matter of life and death of your client. Sometimes it's a matter of a life savings of your client. So it is very important that you practice very ethically whatever you're doing. It's important that you impart, and the fact that you are being given that knowledge, that lecture, from a young age when you are studying. That is when all these things gets ingrained in your mind. It is very important for it to be, because at the time when you are studying these subjects, it might not seem very important, or it might seem that it's a waste of time. What's the point? What's the requirement? But whenever you go ahead in the profession, in the hindsight, you always think that this was something that's a good thing that it was taught, and this is something that should always be a part of the curriculum, because uh, ultimately, there's a background to your profession when you're joining the profession. Not only in litigation, even when you're doing your corporate, if you join a corporate sector, or if you become a judicial officer, that ethics, that principle of ethics is very important, because it's the applicability is very different when you are, say, a litigation lawyer before the court, or when you are a judge on the other side of the bench. Then also you need to have that ethics, right? Because while when you're practicing, uh, you are fighting for the life and death or the property of your client. When you're on the other side, you're the one who's basically deciding life and death, or the property of some person. So it is very important that that ethics is there, and it is something that should be taught in the curriculum in the law school, and I think it should be continued to be taught.
so, so your answer to this question was very, I mean, I really love the answer. And actually, I also used to think that why we are supposed to study the subject, but yes, now I
Yeah,
got why. So, sir,
yeah.
I'll directly come to the second question. So, my second and last question to you is, lawyers fight for people with different matters. Do you think sometimes acting unethical in the court for the benefit of the client is justified?
Um, the simple answer is no. Uh, and to elaborate on it, as I said earlier in the to response to the first question, uh, lawyers are an officer of the court. They're officers of the court first, and then they are lawyers, or they're advocates for their clients. So they always have to be faithful to the law. If you're not faithful to the most basic thing, you know, to which for which you are practicing, then there's no point practicing.
So,
That's the most basic thing that is there. To the constitution, to the law, to court, you have to be see the you can uh, ultimately the idea behind practicing, or the idea behind someone coming to you, is that you get them the best result,
so,
but that should not be the reason for you to be unethical or do things that is putting someone else at a disadvantage.
yeah,
uh, someone on the other side who's not capable of doing that, it should always be restricted to facts and law and nothing else. There should not be any disturbance, there should not be any alteration of any status by any unethical means, because if you're altering the status, then you are basically putting someone at a disadvantage. Then both the parties are not equal, they're not starting on equal footing. It's basically a race where one person in a 100-meter race, one person is starting at 50 meters mark, and the other person is starting, at the start line. It's that. So I don't think uh, the lawyer should be unethical, even for their client, because the clients come and go. But you're there in the profession, you're there before the court. It's your reputation on the line. Apart from the fact that you are fighting for a client, it's your reputation also on the line. So it's all, you should always think like that. You should always think that you're doing the service is being done to the court. Your first liability, or the first response that has to go to is to court and not your client, because you have to be true to your profession, you have to be true to your ethics, you have to be true to your basics, the constitution that is there, you have to be true to that.
so. Sir, you have answered to both the questions, and I hope whosoever will listen to the answers, his or her concept will be more clear. So, sir, at
Hopefully.
last, thank you so much for coming again and making time of your schedule. Uh, so, with your
Thank you so
permission,
much for inviting.
so with your permission, I'll stop the recording.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, sir.